what can you do at home without a piano? And meaning what can you do to prepare yourself to eventually play piano well when there isn't a piano yet? So what you can do at home for technique is to sit close to a table. You want the seat to be, so when you sit on your seat, you want it so that the elbow it's about 90 degrees, and you don't want to sit too close to the table nor too far. So where you would sit if when you are eating a hamburger, picking up a hamburger to eat is probably good enough. And just make sure the elbow is about 90 degrees. Okay. So first thing you could do is make a fist and open it up. Pay attention, make sure your wrist and palm isn't on the table. The reason for it is because when we play piano, we don't put our wrist and palm on the piano. That makes it, for one thing, really hard to release the weight of your arm into the piano. Number two, things makes turning nearly impossible. So if you were to play a scale or anything that requires a turn, it would be really hard to turn. So you really don't want to cut off the option of turning later on. Make a fist, open it up, and try to put it at the edge of the table. Okay, so it's kind of like this, but at the edge of the table. And then you can build your awareness of your fingers. So you can just tap the fingers, each one of them, lightly. And then you can use this opportunity to train your brain and your fingers. So for piano playing, thumbs are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you would just tap your thumb a couple of times, tap your index finger a couple of times, third finger a couple of times, fourth finger a couple of times, fifth finger a couple of times. Don't jerk your thumb up and down too hard, because as humans, our thumb's built to go sideways. It really isn't built to go up and down. So you really don't have to jerk it up and down. Oh, and also make sure that your feet is on the ground, if possible. And then if you're really, really short, don't worry, just get a big box or something so your feet can be like stepping on something instead of hanging the whole time. Okay, so that's what you can do without a piano. And you can also practice shifting or so-called jumping on the piano. So let's do an experiment. Make a fist and keep a firm shape and try to move it around, versus make a fist, let your fingers kind of just hang from your wrist and move it around. You'll probably notice that it's a whole lot easier to move it around when it's like this than when it's like this. So that just means when we're playing piano, if we're going to jump, we try to not, just because of the fact that it's physically demanding. So since there isn't a piano, you could just do stuff like this, and you can go back and forth, but while you're jumping, make sure the wrist is relaxed, okay? So wrist stays relaxed while jumping. Okay, that's technique. Then let's go on to reading. Piano music are written on grand staff, so you would have 2 lines. So it's going to look like this. This is a staff, that's another staff. Usually the top one is in treble clef, and the bottom one's in bass clef. So they're usually like that. Okay, sorry, I should have used a pen. So this is the treble clef, and that's the bass clef. They both have 5 lines. If it's a grand staff, then there should be the brace in the front. Okay. Let's talk about the order of notes. The order of notes go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C again. So C, D, E, F, G, A, then it cycles itself. So before the arrival of your piano, it's probably good to know the order really well. They also have different set of names. You can call it do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So that's that. Okay. The first note you would have to know when it comes to most piano books is the middle C. So middle C actually doesn't fit in the staff. For treble clef, you just add a line underneath and you put a note on it. That's middle C. So if this is C, the next one is D. Then this is E, F, G, A, B, C. Because we are trying to fit the maximum amount of notes in the staff. So we use the lines, we put them on the lines and in the spaces. Some people remember it this way. Face, F-A-C-E, and the lines are every good boy does fine. Okay. Middle C is right here for the bass clef. Then, because we're going down, so C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Some people use all cars eat gas. And good burritos don't fall apart for the lines. Okay. If you find those sentences really hard to remember and apply, you could always just do it the old-fashioned way. Middle C, this has got to be D, that's got to be E, that's got to be F, that's got to be G. So it's probably a good idea to be able to count both going up and going down. That way, if you happen to know, oh, I know this is B, then you could go B, A, G. That makes this as a G. Okay, so that's the reading part. Okay, every single note comes with 4 pieces of information. Let's say I see this note on the page. And I see this, and I see sometimes they give me a 1, and I'm like, what is 1 for? The 1 is for finger number. And for beginning piano books, they will usually tell you if it's right hand or left hand. So you got to watch out for that. Which hand you're supposed to play with. So which hand, which finger, what pitch? What pitch is like, oh, that's a G because we just talked about it. Every good. Oh, it's a G. Okay. Then there is how long to hold. If you're a parent helping you a kid, then I'm sure you would understand that the rhythms are not exact numbers. So it's kind of like, you know how a second is always a second, and a minute has 60 seconds. But the second, it's defined, so everybody knows how long a second is. For music, it's kind of different in the sense that there isn't an exact 1 count. Everything is just proportionate. So this is so-called a quarter note, and for most of, at the beginning, you could just know as 1 count. This is what we call a half note. It's 2 counts, and this is a whole note. It's 4 counts. There isn't like exactly the amount of time for 1 count. But there's a relationship, so a half note equals to 2 counts, and if you're in a piece of music, it has to be twice as long as a quarter. So if I were to play these in a piece of music, we'll go, I'll just use any pitch. Do, do, 2. Do, 2, 3, 4, off. So it has a relationship. So just have your kid remember 1 count, 2 counts, 4 counts, and this is 4 times longer than that, and that's 2 times longer than that. Or you can just break it down this way. It makes it a little easier to understand. And that's got 4 quarter notes inside. Okay, then another thing that's really important, because so far everything we've talked about has nothing to do with sound. And piano is like playing sound. So if your kid is just starting, you could have them sing do dum do do dum do do dum ba do dum do dum do do dum do 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 dum dum. It's Rain Rain Go Away. It's a relatively easy thing to sing. So you can just search it on YouTube, and there will be different versions of it that you can have your kid try to sing. If a kid develops the ability to match pitch, then that kid will probably be much more successful later on, just because he's able to match pitch, and eventually, hopefully, the kid can match the written image and a sound. So like to say, oh, that's a G. I mean, some people can just remember what a G sound like, but even if you can't, if you know what G sound like and then you have a Ni, then if you know the relationship, then that will be great too.